Hello and good morning. It's my pleasure to welcome you today at the final conference of the Erasmus Plus project Debate Your Issue. My name is August Zilberts. I'm representative of one of the project's partners, National Library of Latvia, and today I will be your host. The aim of the Debate Your Issue perfectly resonates with the motto of the European Union, United in Diversity. For more than a wholesome year, the goal has remained the same, to strengthen the awareness of European youth on topics as politics, democracy, tolerance, also media literacy, critical thinking and their threats. And you might ask how? Well, the answer is rather simple: debates, supplemented with peer learning. By teaching how to listen to others, to other opinions, and by teaching how to act with respect to other ideas and opinions, and how to stand for your own ideas in a confident manner. The project has been an impressive journey, developed pre-COVID and implemented during COVID with studying, debating, also Zoom calls, and finally even traveling and competing with each other in different countries. Some of the youngsters, the participants, are also here with us, amongst us today, and we will discuss it all today, as well as the project's progress, pace, lessons learned, debates as a valuable skill, and youth education, and much more. We are streaming live from Brussels, Belgium, and Riga, Latvia, and you can follow us today on the Debate Your Issue Facebook, the homepage, debateyourissue.eu, and also here if you have joined this Zoom conference call. And before I give the floor to other speakers, here are some practical details. So everyone who has joined the Zoom call, please make sure that your name and your surname appears correctly so that we can see your name and surname, and it is very essential for the further conference and for those who will have to speak. If you want to say, ask, or comment on something or make any remarks, then you can do it either on Facebook or here in the Zoom's chat. And we will collect all remarks and questions later on, and I will read them loud and ask to participants. For the speakers, if you can, then please remain at the conference call till the end. That's all for now, and it's my pleasure to announce the first speaker, the keynote speaker of the conference, our guest, Mikuláš Minář from the Czech Republic. He's a civic activist known as one of the founders of the movement Million Moments for Democracy. Mikuláš, please, the floor is yours, the next 15 minutes.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, dear Debate Your Issue participants. I'm really honored to share with you my knowledge and experience gained from founding and leading the Million Moments for Democracy civic movement. This movement has become the largest civic movement in Czech Republic in last 30 years. Since the Velvet Revolution. And maybe you are asking, can I change everything or something in my society? Does my voice matter or not? Let me share with you my story, and I hope it will inspire you and give you some answers. I will share my screen with you and show you presentation. I hope you can see it, so I can begin. Million Moments for Democracy. What is it? Our motto is that we unite people who care about democracy. We unite them. There are many of them, and our only work is to unite them. How it began? You can see 300,000 people on Letná plain in Prague. It was in June 2019. 300,000 people gathered there. It was the biggest protest since 1989. And you can ask, wow, why those people were there? And how it happened, how it began, how something like that could happen. I can tell you that it was not a plan. Rather, it was coincidence, or maybe coincidence. In 2017, 4 years ago, I was student of philosophy and literature, typical student of philosophy. And I was 24 years old, and I was newly married. So I planned that I could finish my studies and enjoy first years of marriage. But then something happened. There were parliament elections in October 2017. And these elections meant really serious danger for our democracy because of these three men, and especially because of the man in the center, Andrej Babiš. Who is him? It's the oligarch, the second richest man in Czech Republic, with very strange origin of his property. He is biggest media house owner. He is criminally prosecuted because of European Union subsidy fraud. He is former agent of secret communist police, and he is also the owner of new political party called ANO, which means yes in Czech. So he was in a really big conflict of interests because he accumulated political, financial power and also media power. What happened? I said it was coincidence. What really happened was that 2 days before the elections, I was just waiting for a tram outside the National Theatre on the street, and suddenly the bell started ringing, and the heart of this bell spoke directly to my heart, and I realized probably it was the same bell that the political prisoners imprisoned in the next street heard 60 years ago. And I realized how precious freedom is and how grateful I am that I can live in democracy and fulfill my dreams. And I realized that I am a citizen and that it is up to me to decide what our country will be like after the elections. And I realized in that moment that I have responsibility and that I can try to do something for a better country. But what? I didn't know yet at that moment. What happened next? The elections had these results. Mr. Babiš had 30%. Okamura, which is right-wing extremist, had 10% and communist 7%. That meant that 115 of 200 seats in parliament, very big majority, had populists, extremists, and communists. And it meant that democracy is in danger. And I said to myself, what can I do with that as a normal student? And I realized that before the elections, Mr. Babiš sent his contract with the citizens of the Czech Republic to our mailboxes. And in that contract, he said, hey, people, I'm the best Democrat ever. I will support democracy and do so many best things and so on. And it will be really paradise here in Czech Republic. And I said to myself, okay, he promised many things to us. And did he mean it seriously? Let's do it. If it's true, let's do it. And we will control him. So we wrote a public petition and we gave it to him. I'm on the left, he is in the center. On the right, it's Benjamin Roll, my colleague. And that's the start, 4 years ago. And we wanted just to control if he will fulfill his promises. But what happened? Our government was governing without the trust of the parliament. And it was clear that the promises before elections, it was just marketing. So We said really publicly, very loudly, this was the petition which made us famous. We said, we consider it unacceptable that 70 years after the communist coup and 30 years after the Velvet Revolution, the Prime Minister of our country should be criminally prosecuted, former agent of communist secret police. We will not pretend that this is normal. We want Andrej Babiš to resign. I think that red sentence, we will not pretend that this is normal, is really the key point. And I hope you will not pretend in your lives that some things are normal if they are not. And something happened, because in first 20 days, 200,000 people signed this petition, and overnight we were very famous and very influential civic movement. We started our first demonstrations, and suddenly there were million moments for democracy. There were this motto that we unite people who care about democracy. There are many of them. We saw that it was not only Prague, the capital, but more than 100 another towns and cities and villages together. Here you can see the collage of the many protests that happened. And I said to myself, wow, something happened. This is movement. This is movement. This is not some small bunch of students. This is hundreds of thousands of people. And if they unite, everybody of them could just find their small moment. But if million moments unite together, it changes everything. And it is really powerful. And we saw it again and again. We did many rallies and demonstrations. Photos of them was all around the world. It was really strong. And then something happened in 2019, 2 years ago. What happened? The police of Czech Republic said Andrej Babiš should go to the court. Exactly 1 day later, Minister of Justice was replaced. And who will be the new minister? Maria Benešová, who was friend of PM Babiš and also President Zeman. And it was shocking. It was shocking because it was open attack on the justice. And we said, are you kidding? This is also not normal. And we started to rely and to protest 1 week after another. This is first week. This is second week. This is third week. And there were more and more people. This is fourth week, 60,000 people on the Wenceslas Square. And fifth week, it was really full and overcrowded. You can see that it's really full. It was more than 100,000 people. It was probably the best demonstration after Velvet Revolution. And our Prime Minister Babiš was ignoring it, and he said that it's because it's really sunny weather and people are going to the concerts. So he was like paradising us. So here you can see a picture where it's written, the three biggest concerts of our history: Rolling Stones, 127,000, Michael Jackson, and it's sunny outside, 120,000. And again, it was clear that it's not only Prague, because more than 300 cities and villages participated in these protests. So it became really a whole nation movement, which culminated on the Letná Plain, as I said. It was really incredible for me to stand on the stage before the 300,000 people, and I never forget it. The photographs are really imposant and also symbolical, because it was exactly 30 years after the Velvet Revolution, and it was very strange that some communist agent could do this 30 years after Velvet Revolution. This is me with my colleague Benjamin Raw. And it was not only in Czech Republic, it was also in the other countries where Czechs gathered together to protest against Mr. Babiš. And we wrote a very short manifest, and I would not read it all, but the five main points were: get involved, listen to how others see it, they have their reasons and respect them, explain, don't persuade, pressure creates back pressure, act, look what you can do, and accept your responsibility. I think this is the main sentence: accept your responsibility, because we each do our part to decide what our shared space looks like. And what Modern Moments for Democracy do really is three things. We defend democratic institutions and rules, we activize civic society, and we educate and make awareness about problems. On the 17th of November, we have very famous day, and we have this sentence: when, if not now, who, if not we. So once again, 4 months later, there was another Letna plane, and another time there were 300,000 people. It was really shocking that people want to stand for democracy. Another time it was a really strong experience for me. But what happened? The government has not fallen. The government has not fallen. So what to do next if 300,000 people made government not to fallen? And in 2020, I said to myself, wow, the only way to real change is elections. The demonstrations are really important, because we must say what's bad. But the only way to real change are elections and political party. So another time I said to myself, what can I do? And I wanted to move forward, and I tried to found new political party called LIDEPRO. It means like people for. We were positive movement, and our aim was to try to reach new voters, and also non-voters, and people who don't like the current opposition, because I realized that if nobody do it, there is no other way to succeed in next elections. But we don't want it to be another 5% party, the small party. We said either properly or not at all. And we said very bravely that we are looking for 500,000 people who are in favor of a new political force, either properly or not at all. And we are not doing this without the people. And what happened? Coronavirus came. And due to coronavirus, contact campaign, which was the key for us, was not possible. We were trying hard, because this is the way you can reach new people on the streets, and it was I think important, but we failed. We only collected 40,000 of signatures, and because of many reasons, but it became clear that it would be very risky for democracy to continue, because we could damage other democratic parties. If we had only 3 or 4%, their voters, we could catch their voters and not get in parliament. It would be very risky. So we said, okay, we will keep our promise, unlike someone, and we will not be running in the election. So what? I'm ending. These 3 guys are candidating again. Next parliament election in Czech Republic are next month in October 2021. And you can ask, will it be better this time? I hope so. And also I know that I personally did everything I could in the last 3 years. And I know that hundreds of thousands of people found their moment for democracy. And I think that matters. And I think it will be clear on the election results that something happened in Czech Republic next 4 years, and many more people are activized and are doing something and are finding their moment for democracy. So last thing I want to say to you, maybe what is my experience? In 3 sentences, I think what is really leadership? There are 3 questions you can ask yourself. First, can you figure out what do you believe? Is there something you really believe? Is there some vision you have? And second, the vision is not enough. Can you also act upon it? Can you do something for it? Can you persevere and be stubborn-headed and go for it? And third, can you do it in a way that adds a value, that is really valuable for somebody, that can give value to your society? These three sentences maybe you can ask it to yourself. In every area, I think this is true. So can you figure out what do you believe? Can you act upon it and in a way that adds value? This is, I think, leadership. This is my experience. I never forget this experience, and it was really great experience. And I think, yes, you can change things. If you believe something and you go for it, you can change things. You as an individual, if you unite with other people who has the same aim, the things could change. So this is my message to you, and I thank you, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for the really worthwhile and inspiring speech. Ladies and gentlemen, Mikuláš Minář from the Czech Republic. And the good news is the conference is being recorded, so that means you'll be able to watch this keynote and other keynotes and presentations later on Facebook. But we are going further, and in the following stage we are ready to dive deeper into the project itself and reveal and actually remember how it all happens. And to share this experience, I want to pass the microphone to Teresa. She is the director of the project, Debate Your Issue, and Povilas, let's say, director of the debates. And they are ready to present the project in detail. So please, we are ready whenever you are. And I will add that if you have any questions, then of course feel free to write in the Zoom chat or Facebook comments section of the live broadcast. Teresa, please.
Thank you. So yeah, I would like to welcome you to the presentation of Debate Your Issue project. Is it? Excuse me, one moment. Okay, just next slide, please. Yes, so I'd like to start with a quote. Those who cannot understand how to put their thoughts on ice should not enter into the heat of debate. That's Friedrich Nietzsche, more than a century ago. But what if you were asked today to draw a self-image or to describe, to characterize the European Youth Project of debates? What do you think that debates should be about, or debate project? I'll give you a moment, maybe you could answer and try out the chat if it works. I'd love to see your answers. What should debates be about, in your opinion?
So yes, feel free to write in the chat. How do you think about debates? And we'll collect the answers. But is it really we want to hear your opinions, because we know the answers already.
We can collect your answers later. I can show you what our participants said. Because we asked the same questions to our participants. Here is what they think and what they thought about our project. So for them, the project was mainly about the debates, of course. It was about communication. It was fun and adventurous. It was also sometimes messy and crazy, but it was very inspiring. It was for them about traveling, about respect. It was excitement. It was gaining new knowledge. This was what the debates for them were about. Maybe you agree, some characteristics themselves can leave a thin feel, but what if we add a shape, a voice of the youth? So, for example, just one quote of one of our participants. This project, is basically a sum of knowledge about relevant topics that are important in the world. I learned how to debate and debating structure, and most importantly, I realized that it's okay to not be good at something immediately, and that I should see a critique as a possibility for me to improve something. End of quote. I would now like to share the core idea of the project with you. Today we have reached the final stage of... Sorry? Well, today we have reached the final stage of the project Debate Your Issue. But the quote and many similar other quotes, as well as the word cloud, which you saw before, unmistakably resonates with the objectives set at the beginning of our journey. It was an early spring in the year 2020, when the world was a much different place to live than now. To explain the aim, reason, and tools of the project of Debate Your Issue, we need to just answer 3 questions, and that's what, why, and how. Let me break these down a bit. First of all, the aim of Debate Your Issue is to strengthen the awareness of young Europeans on the topics of politics, democracy, tolerance, and their threats. That is disinformation, intolerance, polarization, and hate speech. Secondly, every democracy needs citizens who ask critical questions and who are not afraid to express their views. Last but not least, we used debate trainings and competitions, discussions, and created a unique methodological approach and publications in 6 countries, which are Czech Republic, Lithuania, Latvia, Serbia, Poland, and Belgium. But why should we talk about all that and worry about this now and today? Why is it so special, you might ask? Well, it is not special, but it is crucial. Before the kickoff of the project, we shared and discussed our experiences, observations, and analyzed young people's habits, interests, media literacy, political views and interests, and other values in all partnering countries. The results were not surprising, yet they were alarming. Despite many differences between European cities and countries, young people share substantial similarities concerning their worldview, experiences, fears, and also problems. A highly common issue is the fact that young Europeans' trust in mainstream media and public institutions at all levels is very low. Youth in Europe distinguishes itself by limited interest in politics, media literacy, and political education. The voting turnout of young people is the lowest among all age categories. Young Europeans cope with a significantly higher level of unemployment than the country's average, and due to the negative impact of the pandemic, it will most probably also increase. So, taking into account all of the above, we declared that the project Debate Your Issue was intended to strengthen democratic values by engaging young Europeans' youth in an international project focused on the art of debate. After a series of training modules and trial runs, participants experienced a genuine debating competition addressing hot topics such as vaccination, collective memory, voting age, LGBTQ+ questions, and fake news. As during the project, as now, and also in the future, we want to empower young people to use their voice, rights, and confidence to stand up against disinformation, intolerance, polarization, and hate speech, which threaten our democracy. And if I say we, then of course the project, which was co-founded by the Erasmus Plus program of the European Union, was carried out by our 6 partners, which is the Goethe Institute in the Czech Republic, Janimo de Bataille in Lithuania, the National Library of Latvia, Novo Kulturno Naselje in Serbia, the Collegium Evropy Škodnej in Poland, and Media Waves here in Belgium. Well, and this is how we work together. We are meeting online, and I wanted to show you that this is not just about the organizations, but there are real people behind it. And to show you some of the other people, I'll now pass the word on to my colleague, Povilas.
Teresa.
So first of all, thank you very much for Teresa and her beginning of the presentation. My name is Povilas Gimbickis. I am the project partner from Lithuania, the board member from Jaunimo Debatai, the Lithuanian Youth Debate Association. And now I'm going to present you a bit of methodological approach and what we did during the project. What was the activities that we organized them and what our participants experienced. So first of all, our method. First of all, as also mentioned above by Teresa, the backbone tool of the project was debating. So why did we choose it? Because first of all, debating is not a very good tool. It's not only the very good tool to listen to opinions of others and expressing your own opinion, but it also teaches you to do that in a matter of fact, fair way. The second thing is that it is an easy and quick way to learn how to defend your position, while also listening what others are saying. This is a very, very crucial thing for the youngsters, as were willing to learn how to do that and how to defend their own position in this world of very extra curricular information. So how our project happened. So first of all, we started with our partners from 6 countries with open calls for applications among young people. So the calls were mostly national based in all 6 countries. We received around 300 applications, and from these only around 150 were admitted. So it's around 25 per country. Then when we selected our participants, we started with completing the online training modules, which included the Moodle, which helped the participants to understand what this project will be about. And that's how we also get their first impressions and feedback on the project. Then we started with the debate trainings and some topical workshops that all the topics were selected by the participants themselves. The second part of the project were discussions with real-life opinion makers and policy makers from their respective countries. So we did it in Lithuania as well, all other countries. We mostly focus on Lithuanian policymakers, and their countries also, other countries did it as well. And this summer, we shifted to the international debating competition, and we were very, very highly thankful that for everything that happened in Europe, so that we had this possibility to do that. We're going to talk about it later. And also through all the project, the participants and also they focused on producing media contents, which were podcasts, videos, and especially articles. All of these media content you could see on our WisePace portal, which we are going to talk about later as well. So you can see here the statistics that we made, some infographics about the statistics in countries. For example, Lithuania, we had 55 applications. So that's why we had to do a selection procedure because we only had around 30 places on our list. The people that came were like mostly female gender, but this is how it was. They came from 9 cities and had 3 citizenships in total. How it happened. So first of all, as I said, we started with the Moodle, which was designed by the Belgian partner Mediabase. And the Moodle had these particular topics. First of all, the EU, the social media, propaganda, then fake news and conspiracy theories, critical thinking, polarization, and of course, then we started to debate. These were the basic topics of the project, but then, of course, all the partners shifted and somehow, adapted the topics to their own schedule. What was very, very important for us was also the COVID factor, because as you know, as the project happened, we had to adapt to the new situation with COVID-19, which added new dimension and experience by forcing project partners and participants to adapt. First of all, what happened, we had to move to mainly online format. For us, the project partners, this meant having to adapt the content and structure of training and debate sessions to keep participants engaged. And for the participants, it meant that, you know, finding the energy and willpower to spend more time online on top of remote studies or work. So the basic thing is that we were all thinking that we will meet live, you know, physically, but it turned out that we had to spend more than half a year meeting only via online tools. The second thing is shifting timeframes. Well, we had to prolong our project due to COVID situation because we couldn't execute our mobility phase. So we learned the window of this summer 2021 when the public health situation allowed traveling, and that's why we organized the debate competitions. Most of them happened physically in 5 different European cities. Only the first one in Vilnius was happening online because we couldn't meet at all. So basically, DOI became an opportunity to increase personal tolerance towards stress and frustration. Here you can see the quote of our project manager, Zuzana Hopkova from Goethe Institute in Czech Republic. I hope that this is the quote that actually somehow sums everything up, what happened due to COVID on the DIY project this year. Okay, so as she says, during the pandemic, the implementation and transfer of an international project into the digital environment was challenging, but not impossible. Every virtual session and meeting with young people imparted energy and confirmed the viability and mission of the idea behind this project, to help young people formulate and argue their position, as well as to accept the views of others, critically evaluate the information available, and gain a grasp of Europe's decision-making and policy-making processes. Generations, ideas, and skills change, and it is the young people of today who will shape the Europe of the future. And now, we move again. I will also ask my colleague Teresa to continue with our presentation.
Thank you. And meanwhile, I can add that if you want to read more about the Debatio issue, of course, you can go to the homepage, debatioissue.eu, and there at the section useful resources, we also published like an insightful material, publishable reports of the project Debatio issue. It can be read and downloaded also there. So use this opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, as you could have seen, it was not easy to conduct everything as planned. We had to face many difficulties, but I want to give you now an impression how it was possible for us and how it in the end all turned out. Well, to maybe state one more thing, the aspect of interpersonal communication and face-to-face affect are highly valued also among the participants. They highlight that the most saturated emotions and experience were gained when meeting peers from other as well as home countries. Competing, getting to know new cultures and cuisines, and understanding that they, the youngsters, all share the same passion for debating and thinking critically about what is going on in society. These are the benefits most valued by all the participants. As they themselves acknowledge, in the ring of the debates, they are opponents, but outside, they're already friends. So in here, some of the impressions how we conducted it. So as you can see, we debated a lot. We were able to meet in person, but we also had to debate online. So this is how it looked like when we were in the ring, as one of the participants called it out before. And yeah, maybe want to explain as well that we had to sometimes conduct them online because of COVID restrictions, and we decided to do them online so that we could meet locally but debate internationally. That was very important for us to keep the international aspect of the project alive, because we wanted to share the emotions, the arguments across borders and not just inside one country. Of course, the project was not only about debating, it was also about socializing. So here you can see how the people met and engaged. There were many new and exciting experiences. For example, some of them were traveling with the airplane for the first time. We were sharing our favorite snacks in Prague, as you see in the picture above. And some of the participants were very active, and they joined in a project where they were collecting garbage from the river. So we had many various different activities going on. Here we are in Novi Sad in Serbia. Each competition had the same structure, each meeting of our project, but every meeting was of course unique. And here we were in Novi Sad. We had just a tour around Novo Naselje, which is a quarter where our Serbian partners create many cultural events to strengthen the bond of the local community. This was in Riga. Our partners took us to go swimming in the Baltic Sea after the debates, which was a great experience. August told us that the sea will be very cold, but as he got to know, for the Czech participants, it won't be a problem. And of course, they were the first in water. And this is a picture from Prague. I hope you can see the enthusiasm. This is what happens if you let them introduce themselves with their favorite sweets and snacks. So the sugar high is very well seen. One of the key aspects for a project to become heard and seen, known and engaged is image and communication. The pandemic affected also this side, the marketing side and the PR activities. It was very challenging and confusing at the beginning. It turned out to be a great experience and learning process for all of us. However, the project was communicated mainly via the dedicated website and social media accounts, as well as the websites and accounts of the project partners and participants. Press releases, articles, social media posts, podcasts, videos, and infographics. These were just a few narrative formats that we used to communicate the project. I just want to shortly show you our website. The central source where all important and latest information about the project are gathered is our homepage, debateyourissue.eu. It's very aesthetic, but also creative and colorful, with elements that resonate with the useful nature of the project. Actually, it has become an archive of valuable information. Here, the media projects of all our participants are stored. Pavlos will tell you a little bit more about it in a second. And I also want to mention our social media accounts, because this was the greatest part of involvement of the participants and the project fans. They had the opportunity to take part and to share and create the project's image with us together. And that was very crucial for us, and it was also a very nice experience to connect through this with our participants. And now I told you that Pavlos is going to tell you more about the Y Space and our media projects of the youngsters.
And so we are waiting for the Y Space presentation, and the Y Space materials are still there. So at this very moment, you can also go there, debateyourissue.eu, Y Space, and see there are 4 sections: photos, videos, articles, and audio materials. You can listen, you can read, and as Teresa said, then this will serve also like an archive of the project, and so also this defines the sustainability of the project. So it might be useful also for similar project leaders and participants maybe in the future. So feel free to use it. And I guess now Povilas is ready to continue about the white space much deeper. Go on.
Yes, thank you, August. I'm perfectly ready. So I would also like to join your invitation to visit our white space, because actually a white space is, of course, one of our prides, and it is a multi-dimensional open platform for opinion exchange between our participants, the DY participants, and it has various media approaches inside, as I already mentioned. It includes articles, photos, videos, as well as posters, podcasts made by our participants on various topics, which include politics, fake news, the EU, climate, culture, sports, and so on. The content is made in in English and also other project partners' languages. In this slide, you can see how it looks like. So it is divided into 4 easy accessible and perceptible parts, which includes, like you can say, you can present articles when you access the article part, the photos, we can also find posters and other stuff, videos, where you can find our testimonial videos made by our participants as well by us, that portrays the project, as well as audio part, which includes podcasts. Here you can see the Lithuanian part of the articles. That's how it looks like. We decided that to make the portal easier to use, so we adhere to improvised design of the new news portal, so you can see like the picture and also the name of the article and some of it, like, you know, just kind of a bit of inside view what we will find in the article. These articles are basically in Lithuanian, but it's on some of them you can find it as well and press it to find it in English. Also, you can see our testimonial videos. So the testimonial videos provide an overview of the progress of the project. It's also from our perspective as organizers, and as well from the perspective of our participants. Here you can see some of the videos made by the Czech and Belgian teams. But now, if you access the portal now, you can find even more testimonial videos from other countries. So this is about Wispace, and now I'd also like to continue with our lessons learned. So through all the project, we continued to somehow collect the feedback of our participants. And if talking about overviews, then we have reached the final part, as I said. And what is said, you always have to learn, and it is never too late to learn. The trainers and project partners came to multiply conclusions, which will be useful to themselves and anyone interested in organizing similar initiatives in the future. So what we learned, first of all, on participate engagement, be specific, assign comprehensive tasks. Since participation is voluntary, outcomes need to be clear from the start to motivate individuals and involve everyone equally. Second of all, know your audience. Choose communication channels which participants are familiar with and use in their day-to-day lives. Not all young people are active social media users, for example. Every activity needs to be relevant and justified. Participants need to understand the meaning of each part of the program, so training, workshops, and competitions should be built on and complement each other. Workshop themes should correspond to the themes of the training as well. So this is our lessons learned. I hope that you liked the presentation, and again, if you have any questions, feel free to write down them in the chat. We will try to answer. And thank you very much for listening to us. And thank you for my colleague Teresa also on presenting everything with me. Thank you very much. So I will now continue, and I give my word to August.
Thank you so much, Teresa and Povilas. And Povilas, please don't go anywhere, because as you are there, I have a question to you, or maybe Teresa, or both of you, whoever is at the computer. Would you do it again? I mean, the project.
It is an interesting question, actually. I would say yes, but in a different way. Because I guess the kind of project is not repeatable. You have to somehow use another way to persuade people to come here to be participants, take part in the project. But it's actually, for me, I have actually went through this, so I would like to do it again, but in a kind of a different way than I did it now. And for Teresa, I don't know if you can also answer this question. No, says. Okay.
Thank you. Anyways, what a great experience, and what a diverse journey. Thank you very much. So, but we continue, and I'm not afraid to say that the next speech probably is one of the most important of today's whole conference, because it will be a keynote, and a keynote by a participant, Vilte, the voice of the youth, or the voice of the European youth, if you prefer so. And Vilte has been really active and has prepared several articles for the project's multimedia section Y-Space. And also today she has something to tell us. So Vilte, please, next 10 minutes are yours.
Hello, everyone. I am very honored to be presenting to you all the various activities the Lithuanian team engaged in with the Debate Your Issue project, and what those activities and experiences taught us from the perspective of a participant. So as of right now, it's been almost a year with Debate Your Issue, which sounds nuts, at least to me, because the time flew so fast, especially when we were in lockdown. The first time we met on Zoom with our participants in October of last year, we were all still totally hopeful that we'd meet in person soon enough, as Pavlos mentioned. Unfortunately, the pandemic situation did not get better at all during the winter and even spring. So all of the workshops and debate trainings we participated in had to take place online. But still, I believe that we managed to get something positive even out of this grim situation, because our organizers from Jaunimo debatai managed to invite so many interesting and experienced speakers to talk to us via Zoom, such as professors, parliament members, and ministers, which would have likely proven to be more difficult logistically if the event were live, since some of the presenters were, for example, abroad. So in total, we had 8 workshops on various topics: the European Union, disinformation and fake news, climate change, education, tolerance, economic issues and social inequality, and finally, artificial intelligence. I'm not going to trouble everyone with long and confusing Lithuanian names, but I must mention that among many of the presenters, we got the opportunity to listen to, ask questions, and discuss with the current Lithuanian Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, the head of the Human Rights Committee in the Lithuanian Parliament, the ex-Minister of Foreign Affairs, ex-Minister of Education, a member of the European Parliament, and many other well-known Lithuanian scholars, university lecturers, and public figures. This was definitely among the most unique and valuable experiences that we as participants gained during the course of DYI. To be able to interact with people of such importance and such non-parallel experience, as a university student, high school student, or just a young person, to be able to discuss important issues and current events, as well as moderate the discussions, was just remarkable. In addition to the discussions with speakers, we also sometimes engaged in various interactive tasks, mostly group tasks. Among them were making an infographic, working on a clean energy simulation project, and making posters. These tasks often proved to be quite challenging, again, due to the online setting, but it made us gain team working skills and experience online, which is often more difficult than in real life, but will probably come in handy to us in our academic and professional futures. Now, the second part of our DYI weekends at first was dedicated to debate trainings. This was, of course, the crucial part and the main objective of the project. Learning the rules and the structure was not easy at first, but we quickly got the hang of it because we were lucky to have great teachers. I feel like it's very important to stress how hard it is not just to study, but to teach in an online setting. And I'm grateful of having been part of a successful process at that. In our trainings, we debated relevant issues such as cannabis legalization and environmental issues, which helped us not only learn the rules of debating, but also research the topic, learn more about it, and form articulate arguments and opinions, as well as learning to prepare and look into both sides of the debate. Nonetheless, doing it all online was certainly hard on many of us. I specifically remember those dark northern winter afternoons where all most of us wanted to do was curl up into bed with Netflix or a book. But after everything, it made us realize that since we were going to be in lockdown regardless, these activities were something that broke the quarantine routine a little bit in between online classes and schoolwork. Even when it was difficult to tune in and start participating, it forced us to wake up, stimulate our brains, be creative, work in a team, and participate in discussions, and feel productive doing those things. But we weren't only being productive with workshops and debates. As mentioned before, in addition to the group activities and meetings, we had individual creative tasks to fulfill, which were either writing an article or creating a podcast and testimonial videos. The articles had to be somewhat related to the aforementioned workshop topics, and the best ones were even published on a Lithuanian news outlet. I, for example, wrote an article discussing at the time, recent protest that contained some homophobic outbursts. Some of my peers wrote about educational and environmental issues as well. So we were able to write about the topics that we were most interested in and that we were most informed in. I believe this experience helped put our knowledge as well as our argumentation and fluent expression to the test in quite a different way than speaking and debating, but it also strengthened our abilities to form strong arguments for debating beforehand in preparation. And well, of course, the great pinnacle of our project were the debate competitions. In fact, in Lithuania, we had quite a unique first competition in June, sort of a trial version, if you will. Because our peers from partner countries were not yet able to travel at that point, we held the competition online. However, the Lithuanian participants got to meet for the first time, which I could only describe as a surreal experience. Maybe this sounds dramatic, but personally, I haven't been to university in 1.5 years. I'm actually going tomorrow for the first time. And this was the first social event with this many people to me and so many of us. And after, quote unquote, knowing each other on Zoom for such a long time, it was really strange yet exciting to see and talk to everyone in person. This was also the time where we had to be the jury for our international debaters for the first time, which was, at least to me, harder than expected. It showed us how difficult it can be to strictly evaluate a person's performance on so many different aspects, not to judge too harshly, but also not to be too lenient, to be completely fair. Watching the debates from the other side also helps you be a better debater for sure. As for the following debate competitions, which all fortunately happened live, traveling and meeting new, this time international people, was even more overwhelmingly beautiful. Of course, we all went we went all in the debate competitions, and we very much did compete. And we got the biggest chance to put our new skills and knowledge to the test. We also found the topics of each competition, such as equal rights, fake news, coronavirus issues, and of course, social media issues, very well thought out. And I'd say they sparked a lot of conversation and discussion behind the scenes of the formal debates, which is particularly important for us as young European citizens to be able to actively discuss important common issues from different perspectives with motivated people from all around Europe. It brings us a different perspective and can change our opinions for the better and for the more informed as well. And with that, it should be noted that the most special experience of all comes from finally being able to meet people and have casual discussions and conversations with them, sharing our diverse experience, arguments, and opinions. It seems that we all learn so many different things, both formal, like the debates, and informal, like socializing, making friends from all around Europe, and working in a team. All in all, without human connection, be it virtual or in person, this project would not have brought nearly as much value as I can now confidently say it did to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vilte. And we are halfway the conference already, and we are perfectly following the schedule. And that means it's time for interaction now. And for the next 40 minutes, we will have two parallel, totally international discussions. So discussion number one, focusing on working with youth nowadays. And also discussion two, and it will be about learning and teaching to debate. In the discussion one, you will learn why such projects like Debate Your Issue are important today and what teaching and learning methods define it. And in the discussion two, the participants will discuss why debates are still important today and why it's like a trend and necessary ability these days, and actually where to use debates in real life. And I have to inform that this discussion one will take place in the Zoom's conference call breakout room. So if you want to take part in it, and I really advise you to do that, and if you are in the Zoom conference call, then please type in the Zoom chat at this very moment just one word: room. As soon as you do that, we will put you in the breakout room. So if you want to join the breakout room, write in the chat room. And I really warmly advise you to take part into this discussion because it won't be recorded and it will be very useful for those who teach and for those who are thinking about participating in maybe similar projects in the future. So take your time, a bit, couple of seconds, and think about it. And the discussion too, it will be streamed on Facebook and accessible later. And while technically everything gets done, I remind you that if you have any questions, then please use the Zoom chat or Facebook comments section of the live broadcast. And I see that we already have some comments in private messages, so I will read them. So, greetings from Serbia, Jana wrote. This summer was a blast. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jana. What does it cost to take part in such a project? Hi from Estonia, Madis. Hi, Madis. This is a specific project that actually don't cost you anything, only your time and your willingness to participate. So go on. And oh yeah, hello. I am 16 years old, planning to study political science or international relations, and I was wondering whether such project could help me in making career in politics. Tomas. Hey Tomas, this is really a great choice, and I think that if you don't become, let's say, politician or at least ambassador right afterwards, participate in the project, then this definitely will be like a great stepping stone for your future career and your future experience and choices. So, is everything ready? I'm asking for our technicians, and yes, and then I say ready, set, go, and time for 40 minutes of discussions. Good luck those in the breakout room and good luck those in the stream. So let's meet you a little bit later.
So hi everyone. I hope you all can hear me just fine. I want to welcome you to the final conference of the Debate Your Issue project.
And I'm a project partner from Lithuania, and I'm also a board member at the International Youth Debate Alumni Association. We are a young nonprofit organization aiming to make debating and political education more accessible in Lithuania and abroad. And the Debate Your Issue project is one of the ways which helps us and our partners in Europe achieve these goals. And today I'm very happy to be here to moderate the discussion about something that is very important to me personally, and I think to all the participants in this discussion and in this conference. It's about learning and teaching to debate. I also want to very quickly introduce the participants joining me in this discussions that are also the participants of the Debate Your Issue project. So Ineke from Belgium, Jelena from Serbia, and Maria, from Poland. Hi all, I think, and I hope you're doing well. And I hope that you enjoyed the project so far. And I guess let's start. So my first question would be really, really simple and just sort of very, very simple. So how did you find out about the project and why did you decide to participate in it? So Maria, maybe just let's start with you.
I found out about from one of my family members from university. And I just found out that debating is such a cool idea and I have never done it. So that was why I started debating and why I started to be a part of the project.
Okay, and then let's move to Ineke. You can jump in whenever you want, guys, if you want to respond or just say something. So please, Ineke, what about you?
So I was involved with like a Belgian debating project, and obviously they heard about this project from Mediawijs, the Belgian partner. So they just started sending around like the Facebook link and the link to the website to a lot of people who they thought might be interested. And yeah, I read the information, saw like the international partners, then I like Googled the partners from the other countries, and it just looked very interesting. So yeah, I just kind of gave up my name, and now here I am.
Great, that sounds really great. And Jelena?
Well, for me, I must say that I heard through the Serbian partner, Novo Kulturno Naselje, because I've worked with them before. And it sounded really interesting, but it was also very different for me. So it was very, very challenging in a way. So I thought, why not to get out of my comfort zone for a bit?
So the recurring theme I hear in your answers is that it sort of seemed interesting and a very new experience for you. So would you say that you were lacking the skill to be able to debate and present your opinions and argue, and that there was not enough activities in your environment where you could actually do that and learn to debate? Would you say that was the case? Please, Maria.
In my society, actually at school, there were debating, but it was more about history background, and I didn't find it really interesting. But when I heard about this international project, I found it out really, really interesting, and that's why I took part.
Of course, Jelena.
Well, in my social circle and professional circle, there isn't that much debating because I think it's more popular in the social sciences, and I'm practically in tech. So it's completely a new world for me, and that's why I think I had the potential to say this, to debate more, but I didn't know how to do it in a structured way, in an argumented way.
And what about you, Ineke? Did you say that was the case for you as well?
Well, not really, I would say. I do know, like in Belgium, it's not a very big thing, debating. Like there are obviously like debating groups, but it's not that big. We all just start learning it at the end of high school. They like give us like 1 hour of debating in our language class, And personally, I started liking it from there. So then I started competing in Belgian competitions. And then I was very happy to find this European competition. But I do think it really helped me also, because I already did Belgian debates, obviously, but like the European debates, I find it really interesting to like see how each person's skills were very different and how people from different countries were really like debating in a different way and thought of all the tools in the debate as like important.
Thank you very much all for your brief introductory remarks. I just want to move on. We're definitely going to come back to your answers and we're going to touch upon debates in a broader sense. But now I want to talk about something that is more related to the project itself. So as we already know, the point of this project is debating and learning to debate. But learning to debate would be useless without learning to distinguish information, learning history, social, political, and cultural peculiarities, which we also try to do throughout this project in the thematic workshops that we all had in all of the countries. What would you say was the most important topic discussed in these workshops to you and to your country and even to your personal environment, and why? So maybe Maria, let's start with you again.
For me, I think the most important one was about fake news and how we can change it and how we can fight with it. And I wasn't aware that some of us, still live in some kind of informational bubbles, and we have to protect ourselves from that. And I think that was the most important topic for me.
Would you say that you're now more aware of your informational bubbles and how to tackle them?
Yes, of course. I had no idea that some things like that happening, and now I'm much more aware of that.
Great. Ineke, what about you? What was the sort of the most important topic for you, and as well as for Belgium, would you say?
For Belgium, well, I think because I was, for example, like in Prague, and I know we talked about it with a lot of Belgians, like when we had the statement regarding like statues from controversial people, because I know all of the Belgians, we really liked the comparison, because for us it was mostly about like the Belgian King Leopold and like colonialism with us, whereas in a lot of other countries, obviously, they were more talking about like Soviet statues and Stalin, which we didn't really know a lot about before entering the project. So when they gave us the workshop about that and explained a lot more about that, it was really helpful to all of us.
Very interesting. Thank you for your answer. Yelena, what about you?
Well, for me, one of the most important topics we covered was climate change. I think that's important for our country as well as the whole of Europe and the world, because it is a problem that is sort of being dealt with, but in my opinion, not enough. And apart from this, I think that fake news were also very important, and especially in Serbia and in my circle of people, I think that activism and participation are very important, because I feel that a lot of young people lack the initiative to participate in some kind of public debates, because they have this feeling that they will not change anything either way.
So I think the recurring theme that I hear from your answers is something that will make the project organizers very, very glad, because what I hear from your answers is that the project was able to cover so many different important topics for so many different people. So for somebody it's fake news, for someone else it's climate change, for someone else it's the sort of recognition of colonial past. So I think it's a really beautiful thing that you all had your interests covered there. But now I want to come back a little bit to what we've touched upon in the beginning and what you've touched upon in the first answers that you gave. So my question would be, it's kind of abroad. So if you have a very strong opinion about this, please share it. Do you think that in general, we lack constructive debates in today's society, in your countries, whether that be Belgium or Poland or Serbia, and in Europe in general? And if you do think that we lack constructive debates, would you say that it is a bad phenomenon? It is something that is harmful to us or not? So please, Ineke, if you don't mind.
I do think that like really constructive debates are getting rare, like even in Belgium. I think probably this is like more of a European phenomenon, that everything is getting a lot more polarized than it was before. So often we do see a lot of debates. There's still in Belgium a lot of like political debates on TV for us to follow, but often it's not really constructive. Like everyone's just making their own point, and there's no finding each other or thinking about each other's point of view. So that's why I think, especially like even for us Belgians, this project could be really helpful in that you got, like, for example, your position, like even if you are pro the statement, if you get con, you have to like try to think in the mindset of like the contra side, which would make you a lot more open and which leads to a constructive debate.
Thank you, Maria.
Yes, I think, in Poland, we usually, there's a lack of a good debate, especially now in government. I think people more shout and talk a lot, rather than listen to each other. And I think that, debate skills are not very good right now in Poland, and it should be better. And there's a lot of things to do with that.
And what do you think, Yelena? Do you agree, or would you rather disagree?
I agree, actually. I think that both in Serbia and in Europe as a whole, the art of debate is kind of dying because there's a strong polarization in almost everything. And I think it is very bad for us all, because if we don't try to understand each other, then we're going nowhere practically.
Thank you so much for your answers. And sort of a follow-up question would be, do you think that projects like Debate Your Issue can help solve this problem, that the problem being that we lack constructive debates? And if it can, then what is its impact? Is it really that impactful? Because as Ineke, you mentioned, we sort of see those debates between politicians that are rarely constructive. They're just exchanging their remarks to each other and whatever. So how can projects like Debate Your Issue help change this? What is your opinion on that? So maybe Ineke, please go start.
I think, of course, like it's a big problem to tackle, but every like step in the right direction can already help change it. So I think Debate Your Issue, firstly, like it makes us more aware of like problems like this, I think, because of course every country had the debate trainings before participating in the competitions. In the debate trainings, like they really teach you, like you actually have to listen to the other side. You have to like reuse their statement and say why your statement is better or why their statement is lacking. And I think that just even like the skill of debating and really like learning how to do it in a way that's constructive and mindful of others is the way in which Debate Your Issue really helps to tackle that problem.
Thank you. Maria?
Yes, I think it changed a lot, and I think all of us who took part in it learned a lot. And for example, doing preparation and looking for some information, I broadened my horizons a lot, and I had no idea about some things which we covered during the project. So I think there's a lot helpful for us for the future.
And what about you, Yelena? What would be your answer?
Well, first of all, I have to agree with both of you, actually. But the broadening of the horizons is really a theme that I found to be very, very helpful. And I think that what I mentioned before, young people not being active enough in public debates and in political life or of their city or country is a big problem. And I think that projects like this could help there as well.
So the things that you've already mentioned, being more aware about social problems, learning to listen, being active members of a community are not only important in terms of the impact these skills have on our broader society, but they're also really, really beneficial personal skills in life. So how would you say your personal relationship with debating and public speaking changed throughout the project? So maybe you became more confident, maybe you became more articulative, maybe you sort of improved your English. What would you say were the biggest personal changes for you? Ineke, please, if you could share it with us.
Yeah, I think there's a few. Obviously, the biggest one would be like debating in English, because I've never done that before, and I think that goes for a lot of people in the project. Yeah, it was just really different because you have to get into like that English mindset. Sometimes you like have to try to like understand everyone. You don't know a word or something. So that would make me way more open, because you also have to listen to like the entire thing to really get the message that the other side is saying. And also just like more structure wise, I think, because if you're just like debating for you, like not in the project, you'd probably just be making your points. But like in this project, they really taught me like first try to define the statements, try to make like a solid plan, like how are we going to do this, which are things that I never did before.
Maria, what would you say were the biggest changes for you?
I think I'm much more confident right now. I'm not scared to share my opinions. I mean, I wasn't scared before, but now I'm much more able to articulate my opinions. And also, I think I've improved my vocabulary a lot, because doing research for debates in some English websites broadened my horizons a lot. And also working under pressure, because during the debate, you don't know what the other arguments will be. I think it was really challenging, and now I can handle it much better than before.
Yelena, what about you?
Well, my English has definitely improved because, of course, speaking is the best way to learn. Also, I think that my communication skills in general are better because of the things Maria and Ineke already mentioned, because you have to manage your way in the debates. You never know what your opponent's going to say. And also, I think that apart from the debates themselves, I think that the conversations we had with other people throughout Europe were very, very helpful to, as already mentioned, broaden our horizons and in that way improve our thinking and our communication.
So as you were speaking, Yelena, I came up with this follow-up question that I wasn't intending on asking before, but I think it would be really interesting to hear your answers on that. So what would you say was the most challenging topic to debate in the project? Like the debate question, what was the most challenging one where you thought like, I either don't know enough or I'm not confident enough to speak about this? So I think it would be really interesting to hear your opinions about that. So Maria, please, if you could share it with us.
I think it was that one in Riga about vaccination. I was a judge at that time. I wasn't debating, but I think it was it's very extreme topic. Many people have their ideas about it, and I remember the debate was really great. But I mean, that was very challenging topic, and I was very proud of people who took part in this debate because it was a very constructive one.
Great. Ineke?
Yeah, for me, I think it was the question from Prague, because it was really like with the monuments from like controversial leaders and controversial regimes, because I'd never, like, I know it's a big topic, obviously, you can see it on social media, on Instagram, like ruining statues of those kind of peoples, but I never really thought of that like through the eyes of other countries, and it really made me think about the topic, which I hadn't done very much of before. I just like agreed that these statues should be ruined, and hearing like the other side story of why they should not be removed really opened my eyes.
That is really interesting. That it would have been the same for me with this topic, I guess. And Yelena, what about you? What was the most challenging debate question for you?
Oh, well, the vaccination was also among the top questions because it is a very hot topic right now, and I don't think any of us really have enough expertise to know what's right and what's wrong. I mean, when you go into the details. But also the question we had in Poland was very challenging because it was about fake news and whether they should be sanctioned or not. And I think this is very interesting because if you do decide to put some kind of a ban, it quickly can go to censorship. And on the other hand, if you let everything flow freely, it can be very, very dangerous because we see all the fake news, all the horrible theories being all over the internet.
Thank you so much for sharing your answers. And the next question would be a more abstract one and something like a thought experience. So do you think that every person should be, like all people should be learning to debate in schools, in universities, in their work environment? Should it be like a mandatory thing in the curriculum, or is it something to be left only to politicians and other public figures or people in general that are just interested in sort of social activities? So what would you say how it should be? So please, Maria, maybe you have an answer.
Yeah, I think I agree. At least people should try to debate, and I think going out of your comfort zone sometimes broaden your horizons, and also debating has an impact on so many useful skills that everyone should have. And I totally agree with that statement.
Sure. Ineke?
Yeah, I think I'm like going to follow Maria. I do think it's very important that everyone should at least like try to do it once. I think also in Belgium it's mostly the case that you do it like once in high school, and obviously like a lot of people are never really going to keep doing it if you don't like it. If you don't like even like public speaking, you're obviously not really gonna like debating. But I do think that they should at least like let everyone try to do it, and probably more people than you would think will like it and might want to keep doing it.
Of course. Yelena?
Yeah, I would have to agree once again, because I do think that we all need this basic ability to talk in an argumented way, to better define our thoughts, and in that way maybe make a change that we think is right. And so I think that it would be good to let people at least try, and then give opportunities to those who are more interested to continue doing this.
So just based on your own experience in the project, would you say that debating in general is a more challenging activity or a more fun activity, or is it both? What was it for you? Please, Ineke, I saw you laughing, so.
Yeah, I do think it's a little bit of both. Obviously, like we did have very like fun debates in the project. You can also like make it very fun. Also, sometimes they were not, sometimes we were just like sitting at a table with different nationalities and like we start on a topic and you're basically like even debating in your free time when we were just supposed to be having a drink. So those debates are quite fun, but what makes it challenging is probably like in this project, for example, that you have like the jury watching you, you have like public there watching you, sometimes people walk in. And I think the beautiful thing is that it's both challenging and fun, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
Maria?
Yeah, I agree with Ineke. I think it's both challenging and also fun because of preparation and this audience and jury and unknown arguments of the other side. But also at this project, I have met so many people that I wouldn't have a chance to meet otherwise, that it was a lot of fun, but that's also at the same time challenging.
And Yelena, what about you?
Yeah, it's definitely both challenging and fun. However, I think in this project, I think that we had the advantage of it being much more fun than a challenge. Because the proposals we make aren't really going into, going into practice. So you can just make up your own solutions. It's much more free in a way.
Yeah, I agree completely with what you said about it here in the Debate Your Issue project being more fun rather than challenging sometimes. But I also want to ask a follow-up question. So, what would you say was the most valuable part of the debate competitions you participated in? Because, for example, from my experience, what I remember from debating when I was a bit younger was sort of to be able to confidently support the position that you personally do not agree with, for example. So that is very difficult and very valuable. What would it be for you guys? What would be the most valuable experience of the debate competitions in particular? So, Ineke, maybe we can start with you.
I think because beforehand, even when we were training in Belgium, we always like knew our partner, so we were more like prepared in that way. So for me, the most valuable thing was in the competitions that you just like got a partner from another country. Like you had to find them, you had like 10 minutes to get to know them and to like share your arguments. And then you were just already a team to debate, which I thought was very beautiful and very nice. And I never done that before.
Sure. Maria, what about you?
Yes, I totally agree, because I also had a debate that I have never met that person before, and it was very supportive. But also I think that I learned how to quickly react for the opponent's arguments, and that ability is very valuable for the future, because I want to be a lawyer. So that really expanded my horizons for the future.
Of course. And Yelena, what about you?
I would say that broad perspectives were the most interesting part, because you come to the debate with some of your own opinions and your own facts. And then at first you talk to the person from your team and get some kind of new views on the topic. And then you get into the debate itself, and then you get this whole variety of different opinions. And I think that's really what makes it useful, because you come out a richer person.
Would you say that it is difficult to learn to debate, and can anyone do it on their own, or some special sort of teaching from people that are very, very advanced in it is required? Because as we've talked about in this discussion, debating is obviously complicated and it's a difficult task, but at the same time, it's something that I think we all ought to learn in our daily lives, to be able to present our opinions in a constructive way, to defend them, to support them confidently. And it seems like it's something that we can all do on our own. Just read some articles about how to be articulate and move on. But when you start debating, we usually find out that it's not the case. So would you say that sort of very specific teaching from advanced trainers is required to actually be able to debate? Maria, maybe you have an answer on that.
Yeah, I think that you can do it on your own, but it's much better to have a teacher because they give you very good tips for the future and they are much more objective than you would be ourselves. I mean, we had two great teachers in Polish team, and I think if not them, you wouldn't be such successful in this debate competition.
Ineke, what about you? Does your opinion differ on this, or do you agree?
I do agree with Maria. I think like you don't really need it, but it certainly does help a lot. It also, for me, like I think it really helps boost like my confidence and just like the confidence of many people in our group to have the training, to really know what you are doing. And then you also, like we practiced a lot, practice debates. So that just really helps with confidence.
Yelena?
Yeah, I would also say that it's much easier if you have some guidance. Also, I think that it doesn't even have to be someone who is very, very advanced in debating. It can be someone just to help you keep track of your progress and to help you be more objective with the points you make.
What influence will the project, Debate Your Richer project, and this whole experience of learning to debate, what influence will it have on you in the future, you think, in your personal life and in your professional life? So maybe Ineke, you could start.
I don't really know yet what I'm gonna do with like my professional life. So I'm hoping that I can incorporate debate in there, but I don't know yet. But I do already feel like in my personal life, like with my friends, even like if there's a discussion or anything, that I'm better at like communication because of like learning the debating skills, that you have like more patience, that you're more willing to listen to the other side before you start. So I do think that it's really helpful in other aspects of your life.
Yelena, what would you say would be the influence on you in the future?
Yeah, definitely communication, also English skills, but communication is first because it's necessary both in personal and professional life. And I think that no matter what you do, it is important to know how to communicate your thoughts well and to let other people know how to work with you and what needs to be done.
Of course. And Maria?
I also think communication, but also confidence and this ability to form an argument. And also, I've met so many people around in these competitions, and I hope that I will be in touch with them.
So one question that I really want to ask you is whether you've already tried to teach your peers to debate or tell them about how it should be done or why is it important, and just sort of sharing your experience that you've gained in the project while debating. So have you done that, or are you planning to do it? Ineke, what about you?
I haven't really like done that yet, but I am really planning to do so because I have like talked about like before when I was not in this project about Belgian debates before, I have like gotten people into that. So now I am really planning to like talk about this project to people who I think might be interested in it, like friends of mine, for like follow-up projects or anything like close to this, because I do think it really like teaches us a lot.
Sure. Maria?
I don't think I have been learning. I have been studying someone, but I'm teaching someone, but I was talking a lot about the project and about the structure of that and how to form arguments. So we will see what the future brings.
Of course. And Yelena?
Well, for now, I have just shared my experiences with the people that are close to me, but I think that with the Serbian partners, Novo Kulturno Naselje, we will have local DIY events that will be more like educating people from high school and such, younger people, to learn more about debates.
You said, Yelena, that you've already tried to share your experience with some people in your circle. If you don't mind, could you share with us what was the feedback like? Did they see it positively and show sort of an interest in that, or do you think we still need to sort of motivate people a bit more to become interested in debating?
Well, I do think we need to motivate them more, because usually when you start telling people about some rules and some kind of structure and everything, they get bored as easily. So it was good. I don't think that they were that bored, but yeah, I think that more motivation is needed.
Of course. Thank you for your answer. And just to wrap up, as the last question, I want to ask you something that I think is more fun and related to your personal experience in the project. What would you say was the most memorable personal moment of in your experience of learning to debate and this whole amazing trip that is Debate Your Issue? So what would you say would be like the most memorable experience? Ineke, maybe you can start. If you need a few seconds to think about it, then it's totally fine.
The most memorable, yeah, like it's a tough question, I think. But for me, it would really be like in Prague, just like meeting all the people, because like for me that was the first trip where I like really met the young people from the other different countries. And like I think we were, well, of course I was scared it was going to be like awkward, like how do you get to know someone in 4 days, but then really like the last evening we were all really sad that we already had to go home, and that we were like, for some people that we were not going to see each other again, and for some people that it would be like 10 more days until we would see them in Brussels. So really, yeah, that last evening, just like already missing people that you've only known for 4 days.
Thank you very much. Maria, what about you?
It's a tough question because each particular trip has its charm, and I've met so many people. I was in Serbia and in Riga and now in Brussels. But I think that these welcoming dinners in each country, they were the most challenging, but the most fun at the same time, because new people, new experience, but also every next welcoming dinner was more fun because we already know much more people. So I think this first day was the most fun one.
And Yelena, lastly, what about you? What was the most memorable moment?
Well, it's very hard to decide, I must say. I've also been both to Wrocław and Riga, and of course Vilnius, but that was online. I'd say that it's definitely the moments with other people from other countries. Just, you know, when you're sitting at a table with 5 different nationalities, it's very, very interesting. The topics that come up, the different but also the same experiences that we have in other parts of Europe. So I don't know, maybe I would say the first or maybe the second day in Wrocław, because it's like you're starting to get to know people, you know, and it was my first competition live, so it really made an impression, I must say.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad to hear that all of the most memorable moments of the project for you were sort of associated with the people in the project. This is a really nice thing to hear. And thank you so much for your amazing answers and contributions to this discussion and the project as a whole. I hope that you're going to be, in the future, that you're going to become like debating ambassadors in Europe, among your peers, in your countries, And I wish you all the best of luck. And I think that we can end this discussion now and go back to August. Thank you for participating, and thank you all for listening as well.
Thank you so much. I think that participants, speakers from both rooms are now here in the main room with me, and I hope that you took really the most out of both discussions. I thank all the participants and speakers, and especially moderators Ruta and Andrea, who really did a great job. And now we are reaching end of the first part, and it's time for questions, and here already are some which we have received. Maybe some things you already discussed, but I guess not everybody heard them, so I will read them maybe once again. So the first question could be to Marta Gomola as a debate trainer, but also a great question to participants as well. But so Marta, we'll start with you. How did you manage to resist the digital tiredness and keep the learners interested? Did you have a recipe?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know we struggled with that in the beginning because I think we just, we took to like long blocks of time and we struggled a bit to integrate pauses because we misestimated how long things would take. But I think breaks are very important, and having lots of smaller exercises for the participants to do so that they can actually engage with each other in breakout rooms was one thing of combating that. But other than that, it's Zoom, so it's always going to be tiring. I'm sorry.
Thank you for the answer. Once again, happy birthday, Marta.
Thank you.
So we are celebrating also together during the project. So the next question I'd like to ask to Latvian participants, Toms Gelpers. Toms, was it hard for you to take part in the project in spite of remote learning process? And how did you motivate yourself?
I would say that it wasn't really that hard to motivate myself because when I joined the project and when I wrote the application, it was also to make more use of the time that I was spending online mostly because my school was online and I was mostly at home. I think when I joined the project, that was late 2020. Yeah, like most of us. And I would say that it was really something to look forward to as I was waking up early on Saturdays and joining a workshop that in a few hours really helped me develop some of my skills more. And I was really looking forward to just learning something new because I didn't feel like I was challenging myself enough during lockdown, and I mostly succumbed to what was comfortable. And I feel like it was very beneficial, and I really didn't have to try hard to motivate myself because it was genuinely fun.
Thank you, Toms. Ineke, maybe what was the carrots which kept you interested in the project in spite of the fact that you had to study all the time at your computer and see other participants only in 2 dimensions?
Yeah, that's also a loaded question indeed. I think what really helped me, like all the Belgian participants, I know we kind of got tired of like the Zoom trainings and all, but like, for example, like one participant used to play the guitar in between the debate classes, like on his laptop. And like, at least it was something other to do than like online school. And really like Sanne and Karen from Belgium, they really try to keep it cool. They like try to keep the workshops light and to make them fun workshops so that it would all be quite fun to follow in your free time. And just, yeah, taking a coffee break and then like drinking coffee together on Zoom and talking a little bit, that just kept me interested in the project.
Thank you, Ineke. And okay, one more for trainers. Question to Cynthia. Cynthia, what do you do when you have an online lecture but all the students have turned off their cameras? I think this might be useful also this fall.
This hurts very much because it's so real. Well, I think you just ask nicely, and which I found is very useful, and Martha also talked about that. You need to be very open, and I found that I have to joke a lot because it's very difficult to communicate emotions when you're using Zoom. Also, there's so many misunderstandings just because the communication is so flat. There are no emotions. There are them, but you cannot read them. So what I would do is do some kind of jokes, appeal to the fact that, hey guys, don't leave me stranded. I feel like I'm alone here, or just try to get people to turn on their cameras via jokes or some kind of nice nudges. I would definitely not go to the strict teacher mode because everyone is so tired and everyone is so already stressed, especially during the first months of pandemic. So it made no sense to be very pushy. Just be nice. Also, what we did, the more we learned, my structure was start with hard content and get to the top of the mountain, and then it gets easier. So that was our approach. Let's go to the most difficult parts in the beginning, and then it will become simpler. And our approach was, guys, let's enjoy this as much as we can. It's gonna get easier once we can meet in person, which it definitely did. I remember on our first meeting, we had to meet for 2 hours. I think it was 3 and plus because no one went home. People were so starved for conversation and in-person touch, and it was so nice. We talked about, everything. We just talked about everything because this is something that we were lacking. So I know that you asked one question and I was like, well, let me tell you my whole life story. This is how it goes. But positive attitudes and jokes is something that helps through the Zoom. I don't think that I did a perfect job, and I think it was very difficult in the beginning. Also, as Marta said, it was not easy, but we did it. One sad thing that I think happened in many ways, that the attendance dropped quite sharply, but it happens because people were just so tired of Zoom. Also, and I don't blame anyone, because when someone invites me now to a Zoom meeting, it's like they haven't finished the sentence before I say no. No. I'm gonna do literally anything else before I want to hear another Zoom meeting. So no one is to blame. Let's have as much humor as we can. Let's make the situation light, because this is something that works. So yeah, I'm gonna now conclude my sentence.
Thank you, Cynthia. So be kind, add humor, and talking about humor, I once read that if you have turned your camera off, then it looks like a tombstone in the graveyard, because there's like a black place with just a name on it. So yeah, don't do that. Okay, and we have also just received one more question, and I would like to ask it maybe to Teresa, if you're still there. So, where to look for similar projects like Debate Your Issue if someone wants to participate in one? Have you got any idea?
Wow, I was not prepared for the question. I think I can recommend Jugend Debattiert, our partners here, which are in also many countries. And otherwise, we hope to get another grant for next year to be able to conduct a similar but different project. These are the first things that come to my mind, but maybe Marta knows some more. You're waving, shaking your head, so maybe you have some other ideas.
Yeah, I'm also thinking that Jugenddebattiert is the only thing that comes to mind. So yeah, for the German speakers, a great option.
Would maybe suggest to just check European volunteering and Erasmus projects, and you might find something which will not be the same, but also engaging and interesting and something to broaden your horizons. EVS, maybe even.
Of course, I would advise to. Hello, Madara at the background. I'd like to advise just to follow up also maybe the Erasmus Plus homepage. There also might be information about similar projects. And now I would like to address the next question to Yelena. Many participants have admitted that they learned because they wanted to overcome themselves. And what would you say to those who believe that only young people who have no self-esteem problems are debating? That's a tough one.
I wouldn't agree because I know that a lot of people who themselves say that they have problems with their confidence and with their self-esteem use these kind of opportunities to try and fix those problems and try to get better, just to be more free in expressing their opinions to lots of people.
Good answer, thank you.
So all in all, try it first before you discard
it. First. Let's take this into our minds, and oh, this one is really good. So Maria and Toms, maybe you could give some answers. When after the debate you are being judged, so what are the things or common mistakes that you hope that the judge won't notice?
Won't notice. I don't really. Maybe structure things, or it's a very tough question because they usually notice everything. So yeah, I think structure may be the most, or maybe the preparation, like the lack of response to the contribution. Sometimes it's very hard to do it, but it's a really tough question. Maybe Toms, you have any idea?
Personally, I would say that honestly, I wasn't really looking forward for the judges not to notice anything, because I thought that if we are in this project and if we're learning how to debate, we are here to learn after all. And I would say that I would rather hope for them to notice something that I might maybe not have in my mind and something that they can suggest, you know, just for improvement.
Yeah, exactly. Because in the future debate, you can improve it. So yeah, that's true.
Thank you. And I'd like to ask the next question to Yiri. And it goes like this. What are things that those who say, debates, it's not for me, I'm too introvert, what are the things that they do not actually know about debating, in your opinion?
I think that these people ignore a lot of added value debates bring. I feel like, you know, when you say debates, a lot of people mean just, you know, talking about things, but the added value of it is learning to respect other opinions, learning to respect the structure of the debate. Basically, what it brings you is a way to speak formally to someone about even touchy subjects. And honestly, like this is what I would bring to the table if someone said something like this. And it was said here previously. Just you have to try it first before you like decide if it is for you or not. Yeah.
Thank you. So just try, go on, and remember that this kind of project, if you are in your early 20s, for example, it's a great stepping stone for your future activities, studies, or maybe career or else. And so I think we have come to the final question, and I would like to ask it once again to Ineke. How do you think, was the pandemic an opportunity or disadvantage for this project? How did you feel when you took part and learned?
I think it was a disadvantage in a way that obviously a lot of people got into the project because of the international aspect of it, because of the idea of going to a debate competition in another country, really. So, for example, in Belgium, we did see that a lot of participants kind of, because the trainings were so long, they were online, they took a long time, it was getting very unclear whether we would actually ever like see participants from other countries, whether we would actually go. So I do think we lost some people that way who really could not find the energy to keep doing it. But as an advantage, I do think that it brought us closer together when we did meet each other, because a lot of people like weren't even thinking that we would ever see each other. So when we did meet, it was more fun, and you really wanted to like make the most out of it, because it's the first time when you can get together again after COVID, when you can meet other people from other countries, go on a trip to another country. So for many of us, it was the first time leaving our own country again, and then meeting new people in this pandemic situation. And I think that it really did bring us closer together that way.
Thank you. Well, that's it for the questions. And maybe someone wants to add something really, really short. If so, then just
Can I?
feel free to speak. Yes, Teresa, of course.
I would
Maybe you
like
want
to
to sum
thank
it up?
you, especially all the participants who came, because it was very encouraging, and it made me feel really good about the project. Thank you for all your kind words today. It is like a reward for us for the work we've put into. So thank you for being here today, for sharing your experiences, and thank you for participating and engaging. I hope you take this with you, and yeah, that you carry it out and share it with the world, everything you've learned here and what you gained here.
Thank you. Really, what a wholesome discussion for 40 minutes, 2 discussions, and also broad questions and answers session. But we are going further, and now I'd like to announce a break for 15 minutes. And those who are in the Zoom call, please stay connected. And afterwards, when we meet again, then we will have one more presentation on the project about fake news. Really interesting project, Smart EU from Belgium. So let's meet here in 15 minutes. And thank you very much so far. Hello once again, we are back, and this is the final conference of the Erasmus Plus project Debate Your Issue, and the conference has reached its final stage. We have one more presentation left. So, the last but not the least, Alenka from Flemish Knowledge Center for Digital and Media Literacy MediaWays will introduce us with the project Smart EU. It's a project about social media and disinformation resilience. So Alenka, please, the digital air is yours for the next 30 minutes. I'm very happy to see you there.
Hi there. I'm not sure if you can hear me because our technician, no?
Yes, we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Hear you.
Okay, that's
yes,
great.
Go on.
Okay, super. Good afternoon. I hope the weather is as nice from where you're following this live stream as it is here in Brussels. You already introduced me quite well, so I won't repeat that. But today I would like to talk to you about another European project called Smart EU, which stands for Social Media Resilience Toolkit. It's a European project that focuses on misinformation and fake news on social media, very specifically for two target groups. On the one hand, youngsters, and on the other hand, elderly people. And we focused very much on the interaction between those two groups. What can youngsters learn from elderly people and vice versa? So that was really the aim of this project. Today I will take some time to take you through the outcomes and the lessons learned of this project, because we're convinced that between the Debate Your Issue project and the Smart EU project, that there are some similarities and some similar target groups. And so we're hoping that this cross-knowledge exchange, that it can be useful for you. Let me see if my presentation works. That doesn't seem to be the case. I'm going to continue for a minute without my presentation. It's a good exercise. I'm hoping that the technical issues will be resolved in a minute. The Smart EU project has 4 big outcomes. We have our own website that's called smarttoolkit.eu. So please have a look at the website where you can find everything that I will say to you today. The first outcome of the project is actually a wrap-up, or basically we gathered all is a bit arrogant to state, but as much information and tools as possible on topics like social media algorithms, misinformation, fake news, propaganda, etc. We try to gather as much as the information that already exists on the website. Because as you probably know, there's a lot of different projects, there's a lot of organizations on the ground who work on these topics. And so the first thing we did was to gather all of these informations, and we put them in something that we call a repository. That means basically it's a long list of academic knowledge, educational tools, videos, interviews, publications, etc. on these topics. The great thing about this repository is that you can filter. So you can filter on topic, but you can also filter on target groups. So is it tools that were designed to help youngsters, or were it tools that are designed to help elderly people, etc. And you can also suggest and add your own tools. So please have a look at the website, and if you would like to add tools, we would be very happy to complete our list. In this guide, there's a couple of other outputs. We created a couple of booklets on very specific topics, like how do you fact check during these times of a pandemic, with some very specific tips and tricks, but also a booklet on the presentation. Thank you. Just waiting for the presentation to work so I can fill you in. Thank you very much. So this I already said, so I'm just gonna move on to where we were. So there's a couple of booklets. First one I said is on fact checking in a pandemic of information. So it's all about how can you fact check during this COVID time, etc. But also, if you work with a target group that has few digital skills, well, how can you help them to fact check online? Because some of these tips and tricks that we usually give to people, like do reverse Google image search, for example, well, for some groups it's a bit too complicated with the digital skills that they have. That doesn't mean that there aren't other tips and tricks they can do to fact check. So that's a booklet you can find on that. We also conducted a series of interviews with experts in all partner languages. So as the Debate Your Issue project, this is a project that was conducted by a series of European partners. And so we also have this opportunity and this possibility to interview experts in different partner languages. So you can find experts talking about media literacy, about working with these different target groups and working with these different target groups together in an intergenerational setting, but also on disinformation, on civic engagement, etc. You can find all of these on our YouTube channel, the Smart EU YouTube channel. So please have a look. We also created a couple of fake social media posts where on different topics. So there's one on health, there's one on politics, etc. With clickable hotspots where you can get some more information on why this social media post might be a fake social media post. And finally, this will be coming in the next days. We are creating a good practices publication. So it will be an online publication, basically with the good practice results from this project, so from Smart EU. Again, specifically on these different target groups, young people, elderly people, and the educators who work with both groups. And also with the new resources we created for this project. We also organized a series of participatory activities. I want to tell you a bit more about those. As with the Debate Your Issue projects, and as you've probably all faced during the past year, not very easy to organize during these pandemic times. But we got creative and we did our best to organize them in new ways. So we tested a few different things. So we organized intergenerational workshops on different topics in all of the partner countries. And we tried some innovative approaches where, for example, younger people like students and volunteers, where we trained them to empower seniors. So we trained the youngsters to give workshops on social media and on misinformation to seniors. And we noticed that in the groups of elderly people, that there really is a need for information on these topics and a need for long-term support to learn how to interact critically with these new media. Our creation partner is very interesting. They were active, or they are active, in retirement homes. And so they piloted even one-on-one sessions between a youngster, student, and elderly people in the retirement home, which was a very interesting practice. And they're even continuing it today. some numbers. So we organized 50 activities in all partner countries. Of course, we didn't do this alone, but we always work together with local partners. Almost 400 participants, and a few were conducted online, a few were conducted offline, depending on the COVID situation. A couple were also recorded in the form of webinars. Here you can find some testimonials. I won't go through them. I will focus on the lessons learned because I think that's the most interesting for you. What we really learned is that it's hard to come into a workshop and only focus on disinformation, fake news, and social media. The participants come with a broad set of questions that can be about anything. A lot of the times it's on their own digital skills, and they want help to install a new app on their smartphone or on where they can find certain information. So it's very important during these workshops to pay attention and to spend time on their questions as well. And then through those, you can start working on the critical thinking, on misinformation, on fake news, etc. Also, something that we noticed that was very interesting is that when you talk to older people and you ask them, are you active online? Are you engaged in the digital world, etc.? Often you get the answer, well, no, I'm not online. It's not for me. I don't do anything online, etc. But then when you start asking them, oh, so does that mean that you never write an email? Or does that mean that you've never video called with your grandchildren? And they're like, oh, no, of course, I WhatsApp every day. Or of course, I do my administration via email. So they don't necessarily consider a large variety of digital activities as being digital activities. So for their self-confidence in this digital world, it can be very interesting to emphasize that, well, actually, you're already part of this digital world, and how can we take a step further together? It's also important to know that they ask for long-term support and that they do want to be that active, engaged e-citizen. Then I would like to talk to you about another activity that we did, or another outcome of this project that I found super interesting. And that's a YouTube news video tool and focus groups. Let me explain a bit what this is. So our Estonian partner created a series of videos as an introduction to start focus groups. Now, these focus groups were initially intended to be traditional focus groups held physically with a group of people. But since, well, COVID sort of forced us to rethink this. And so what we did was we created tiny focus groups with grandparents and grandchildren. And so these YouTube news video tools, they were the starting ground for that. And I have to say that the results were super interesting. I asked our Estonian partner to make a little video to explain what the results are of this focus group. And so now I will ask our technical staff to please start the video.
Hi, my name is Marja Himma-Kadakas and I work at the University of Tartu, Estonia. I will give you a brief overview of the intergenerational mini focus groups that we conducted in the Smart EU project. But first, a tiny insight of how we conducted this study. In collaboration with the Estonian influencer and journalist Keili Sügiainen, we produced 3 media and information literacy videos that can be used as an intergenerational learning tool. The videos cover topics on exposure to news and fake news, intergenerational communication habits, and influencers. The videos contain certain topics and amount of information that was in some points more familiar to teenagers and in certain points more familiar to the elderly. For these reasons, the videos can be used as a tool to spark intergenerational discussion over the aforementioned topics. These videos are accompanied by questions that For example, a grandchild and grandparent can ask each other after they have watched these videos together. We tested this tool as a component in intergenerational and professional focus groups. Project partners conducted altogether 16 intergenerational mini focus groups with family members and 6 focus groups with adult professionals. The general objective was to find out if intergenerationally shared news experience can be used to promote the resilience of information disorder, for example, fake news, and promote overall news consumption. As said, the videos were tested in intergenerational and professional focus groups. And here are the 3 highlights from the results. Understanding of news is limited with conventional genres and forms, and this is a problem. Though people generally perceive news as new information, they also have a rather conventional understanding of what is news. This understanding often stems from traditional media news genres and formats. This is important as exposure to new information, but also to false information, takes place in several forums and genres on multiple platforms. People do not perceive exposure to new information as news on social media or in personal interaction. Therefore, it is essential to discuss this topic in schools and media and information literacy training. Both young and elderly need to understand that they are exposed to all sorts of new information that can be trustworthy, but can also be misleading and harmful. The perception of diversity of new information is the basis for a personal evaluation of information quality, and this is the basis of any media and information literacy activity. Second, intergenerational information exchange promotes both news consumption and verification of any new information. The generational differences in knowledge enrich the interpretation of information. Nevertheless, this information exchange has prerequisites. First, intergenerational communication is effective only between acquaintances from different generations. For example, it functions well between grandparents and grandchildren from the same family, but probably it would be complicated between unfamiliar teens who visit elderly home for the first time, for example. The second prerequisite for intergenerational information exchange is the arrangement and agreement on communication means. The most preferred way for discussion over the news is in real life, face-to-face. This way of communication became exceptionally valued and appreciated during COVID-19 social distancing times. As several families communicate digitally, the selection of communication channels need to be openly discussed. In other words, it is wise to ask what platform and channel to use at which time. The elderly are usually relatively open-minded towards video and chat applications if their close ones have assisted them in using those apps. The main hindrance why the elderly tend not to use video calling or chat apps is that they do not know what is the most suitable time to reach out to the younger relatives. They feel that contacting at an inappropriate time will interfere with the young. This issue could be solved by simple discussion and agreement on suitable times for communication. Overall, we can conclude that intergenerational communication is an effective way to promote everyday news consumption. It diversifies the understanding of news, and it also grounds the risk for misinterpretation of information, and it also helps to verify the information. All this increases resilience towards harmful consequences of information disorder. Third finding I would like to highlight is that influencers are nothing new. The topic, not the person, promotes the discussion. As media practitioners have long been interested in how effective is using influencers in delivering messages. Based on our results, we can say that influencers, especially intergenerationally well-known influencers, help to deliver the message. However, the same effect would be achievable with celebrities, actors, musicians, opinion leaders, and why not even grandchildren. The important is the trustworthiness of the particular influencer. In intergenerational discussions, influencers' messages were recognized just as discussion point for familiar to both the grandparent and grandchild. Therefore, for promoting the intergenerational information exchange, the reliable message is the central connection point to spark the communication. However, it may also be currently most popular TikTok video or traditional news story on newspaper or television.
I must say that for me, this was one of the most interesting parts of this project, because you could really see the possible added value of this intergenerational context that youngsters, the impact youngsters can have just by talking to their grandparents about these topics and vice versa. You could really see that the grandparents would teach their grandchildren more about general knowledge topics, and these grandchildren could really give an insight to, well, their life online and how these different tools work. And you could really sense that this exchange of information, that it was really rich and really powerful for both groups. So for me, this was really one of the most interesting parts of the Smart EU project. The last output or outcome of the Smart EU project is a B-learning course that's online and free to use since this week on our website, smarttoolkits.eu. It's a short B-learning course for intermediaries and educators who work with youngsters or with elderly people, or combine both groups. And you can find some videos explaining theoretical concepts on disinformation and fake news, on the role of social media and the spread of it, or the role of social media in the spread of disinformation and fake news, about how to address these topics with the groups you work with, about our own responsibility when posting and interacting online, on fact-checking. But you can also find some discussion activities, extra resources, some interviews with experts, etc. So please have a look at our website at the B-learning course, and feel free to use it and to spread it amongst your colleagues. That's it for me on the Smart EU projects. I really hope that you found something in the outcomes that is useful for you. And I wish you all the very best with the end of this conference and the end of the Debate Your Issue projects. And then I would like to give the floor back to our lovely hosts.
Thank you very much, Alenka. Thank you for this valuable and topical addition to Debate Your Issue, and greetings to your wonderful team as well. So at this very moment, I want to say thank you. Thank you to all the listeners, all the speakers, all the members of the Debate Your Issue, the partner team, and everyone who put their hand and helped this project and made it happen. It has really been a journey beginning more than a year ago, and great experience and lots of challenges for all of us. But the main thing is that additional to new skills, we have also made lots and lots of new mistakes. But we have learned from them, and we have made new friends, and also, I'd say, tightened the knot of Europe even more stronger. 6 countries, more than a year, many participants, new friendships, and I hope to see many of you also in the future. So have a nice day. Thank you for being with us, and always remember to debate your issue. My name is August Zilberts, and see you next time.